This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
We begin our conversations in oil and gas, where oil prices have dropped below $60 per barrel. Concerns over Nigeria's gaping fiscal deficit and the country's exchange rate regime. Now, while the prices continue to drop, the drop in crude oil prices also coincides with a decision by OPEC Plus to increase its production quotas. Nigeria currently has a budget deficit of 13.08 trillion naira. Joining the conversation this morning is Ayodele Oni, an oil and gas expert. Mr. Oni, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
So to step right into it, what is your reaction to the drop in oil prices as well as the increase of production quotas by OPEC Plus?
I found the increase in output by OPEC Plus a bit strange, because I do know that they understand that once you have a lot of crude available, prices will drop. Plus the trade war between the US and China, which has seen a reduction in that demand, and container transactions between China and the US have dropped substantially. So I found it a bit curious when they did make that announcement, and I understand that it's even a continuing one. So I find it strange, but it is what it is, right?
Right. So I hear you as well. Now, the reality of oil and gas is that when crude oil prices drop, we start to get worried. Nigeria's budget deficit at the time when the 2025 budget was passed was at 13.08 trillion naira. How do you think this situation plays into our plans for 2025? And how do you think Nigeria will react both to the increase in oil production as well as the drop in the prices, particularly of Brent crude?
Okay, so it's funny that we find ourselves in this situation. Recall that the budget benchmark was $75. I think the president must have taken around $70, and for whatever reason, the National Assembly, in its wisdom, increased to 75. Very well. Now that means that there's already a shortfall, and you either will be doing a supplementary budget or you need to go out there and get loans. And of course, I understand that they're deciding the tax bill very soon into law, but that doesn't. It will increase the tax level, but do you tax the poor, right? You only tax income, tax profitability. So for us, it becomes a challenge. Particularly when it looks like many factors are conspiring to let this case, from the trade war by the US to volumes, and our volumes not even substantially increasing. All of this suggests that there's going to be a bit of a challenge from a fiscal standpoint, and we've got to find a solution, whether it's borrowing, whether it's a supplementary budget, whether it's looking for other means of increasing internally generated revenues. Those are issues, and whether the CBN is going to borrow via ways and going to lend money to the federal government, but it's not looking very good. But maybe if we look internally and reduce our dependence on exports, we may begin to see the impact may be reduced.
So I wonder if you can speak to us regarding options for Nigeria. You have talked about looking away from oil revenues as a way to respond to what is going on with the drop in crude oil prices. But there are other examples of countries responding to harsh economic realities. Angola withdrew from OPEC Plus in 2024. Do you think this is an option for Nigeria? And if that is the case, what do you think could be the fallout in terms of Nigeria's continued presence in the oil market as well as for the economy itself?
Okay, in my own view, I do not even really think people keep to their OPEC quotas. If they can produce more, they then supply more. So I'm not sure our challenge is with OPEC. We're a member of OPEC, or like those who are from the OPEC Plus. I think that looking internally, and I understand the president signed off some order yesterday night or sometime yesterday where it was banning importation of banning imports, particularly for government procurement and all of that, to ensure that we have more reliance on local production. I think these are the ways to go. We may need to do more around those. Other than that, and then see how we can benefit more from our gas, from our natural gas, through ensuring that we have infrastructure and virtual pipelines, and generally encouraging production, particularly local production, encouraging producers, encouraging operators to use local contractors, because that's what then ensures that our reliance on USD does reduce or doesn't increase at least. I think, and then we still need to make the most of non-oil revenues. I don't think taxation are the solutions. I've lived elsewhere in the world, and I know that there's everywhere in the world there's a large percentage of people, particularly in the formal sector, who do not pay taxes. Barbers and all of those who tell you to pay them in cash, whether it's the US, whether it's Canada, whether it's even in the UK. Issue around tax is exaggerated, but maybe we should then look at agencies such as the Corporate Affairs Commission, NIMASA, and see what revenues are actually coming in, and ensuring that there are no gaps. Now there are no areas where money is lost, and reducing blocking those. Critical. We just need to be more fiscally disciplined.
So, Mr. Oni, as we wrap up this conversation, you've talked about, you mentioned really that OPEC Plus members not necessarily keep to their quotas. I wonder if you can talk to us about Nigeria's current oil production per day, and whether, because last time I looked at it, we were about 1.5 million barrels per day. How does this play into to the situation where we have seen quotas go up? I believe Nigeria is expected to produce some 2 million barrels per day. Could you speak to us about this as we wrap the conversation?
Yeah, so that's also been part of the challenge. If we do not produce what we have the quota to produce, then it then speaks to the key challenge, of even saying you're leaving OPEC because you do not have the use more. I think with the divestment, expect that things will improve. I understand that CEPLAC 7% increase in their production recently. So let's see if other companies will follow suit, and if we can do more around our crude and production. Otherwise, it's a double jeopardy for us.
For your time and expertise on the conversation. Ayodele Oni is an oil and gas expert who joined us this morning to speak on the development that has seen crude oil prices drop below $60 per barrel at a time when OPEC Plus has increased its production quotas for its members.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.